Good morning. It's too early in the morning to be awake. And if you are smart, then I hope you bake some muffins today. Preferably bran. Hi, good morning. It's too early. Come on, kids. For those of you on the East Coast, on behalf of everyone who lives on the West Coast, fuck you. Sorry. We are sick and tired of your bullshit. Oh, why aren't you guys awake? I'm calling it 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh, hey, I just started my work day. Are you guys not? Oh, sorry. Why wouldn't you? Assholes. Everyone east of, let's say, Chicago. Assholes. With your stupid time zone. And don't even get me started on you Europeans. Unacceptable. Yeah. Oh, I'm just heading down for a wee bit of sleep. How are you this evening? I'm in bed. Idiots. Speaking of in bed, producer Joanna's awake. Okay, I can speak at a normal volume of voice. Hey, still moving today. Still doing that moving thing. Packing boxes. Unpacking boxes, that sort of thing. So that's exciting. We're moving to the Stable Boy Studios. Still setting that up. Still currently in the Cooperall Studios. So we're just going to do a quick good morning thing here. I did see that our friend Kevin McCarthy is on Maria Bartiromo, and we're going to see today, we are hoping he gets through an entire sentence using the English language. So this is exciting. Now, for those of you who don't know, Nancy Pelosi is being criticized by the right wing because she told the Olympic athletes from the United States, hey, do your sporting, but stay in your lane while you're in China. Do not criticize the Chinese government while you're in China, because when that happens, athletes, basketball players, etc., tend to get arrested by the Chinese government, and then they're there. They're detained for who knows how long. So, Nancy Pelosi, as a grandmother of 180, is saying, hey, kids, just let's cool it. Let's cool it with the political statements about China until you're out of the country. And then go hog wild. Do up your Instagrams and your chat stamps and have a blast with it. Let us know how things went over there. But, and you can tell when she says, let's go back and watch what she says. Where are we here? Because when I tuned in, Nancy Pelosi was actually on the screen. So let's go back and let's just watch that. This is Fox News this morning.
You're there to compete.
Let's go back just a little bit. Here we go.
Americans dead, Pelosi sends a message to the more than 200 athletes already on the ground in
more than 200 athletes.
Communist China.
I would say to
That's where the Olympics are, by the way, in communist China.
our athletes,
Yeah.
you're there to compete.
Yes.
Do not risk incurring the anger of the Chinese government.
Yeah, and this is true. China kidnaps citizens of other countries all the time. If they do anything that upsets them, and then they spend a year in Chinese jail. You don't want that. You really don't. Canada and China and the United States just arranged an extradition. They gave them back one of the Chinese folks who they claimed was spying. The Americans did. The Canadians got 2 citizens back who had been over there for months and months and years. And this is how it works. So all she's saying there is, hey, as an American to another American, just let's cool it, because let's be serious. Like, none of the LS, some snowboarder comes out and says, China's bad. It's not going to make a difference. Hold off on that until you get back to the shores.
Because they are ruthless. I know there is
And they are ruthless.
a temptation.
Remember the basketball player, I want to say out of UCLA, I could be wrong. Basketball player over there, they say that he shoplifted a pair of sunglasses. And they threw him in jail.
On the part of some to speak out while they are there. I respect that, but I also worry about what the Chinese government might do.
Yeah, and that's completely valid. I would, yeah, go ahead, speak out if you want to, but you're going to end up in jail. So enjoy. Let's not make this Olympics about politics, shall we? And thank God we're having a diplomatic boycott along with 6 other countries, because, man, what a difference it makes. China's completely opened up to the rest of the world now. The Uyghurs have been released from their concentration camps. It's just everything's been fixed. So,
to their reputations, to their families.
yeah, so Kevin McCarthy's coming up. Let's go to Kevin McCarthy. We'll see. I'm sure he's outraged by Nancy Pelosi, an American grandmother, advising American athletes to not end up in jail.
Hearing on that subject in the last 2 years.
Joining me right now to discuss this and the state of affairs is House.
So we'll listen for a couple of things. We'll listen for Maria rustling her papers, which she's very, very good at. Good morning, Cindy. And we'll listen for the obnoxious hum in the background of whatever mechanical equipment Maria has at her home studio.
Republican Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for being here this morning.
It is always a pleasure. I really enjoy watching Kevin on TV.
I want to get to the Competes Act, this China bill that passed the House of Representatives. I want to get your take on that. But first, got to get your reaction to what you just heard from Peter Schweitzer. Is that why Nancy Pelosi has refused to do any?
I don't. Peter Schweitzer is the guy who wrote Clinton Cash. It constantly debunked. It just and the Clintons accepted $300 gazillion dollars in exchange for plutonium reserves with the vaccine.
Hearings on COVID-19 and its origins.
I don't know if that's why, but it raises a lot of questions. But there's even...
I don't know if it's why, but it raises questions, which is what we do here on Fox. Is Nancy Pelosi even American? Was Nancy Pelosi born on another planet, possibly Mercury? That's a good question. It's just raising questions. We don't know. We don't know. We have no idea. We have no evidence whatsoever. We have no indication that that would be the case. But it's a question. And that's what we do here on Fox News.
More. Think about what Nancy Pelosi has done as Speaker. She has protected China from any investigations to the origin of COVID, even though it's killed more than 900,000 Americans. She's preventing American athletes from protesting at the Olympics. And now she's
not preventing it at all. She suggested that you just kind of keep your mouth shut, not do the protesting at the Olympics. That's all she's doing. Just suggesting it. She's not preventing it, Kevin. She has no power, no sway whatsoever over the American athlete. How powerful do you think she is? Just because you have a complete lack of power because you guys lost the election. He just wants to be the next housekeeper.
Introducing a bill that sends American taxpayer money to China. Because what she has done at the same time raises another question. Negotiated with the Democrats for more than 8 months to get a...
What? Was there a video skip there? That wasn't me. Hold on. Let's see what he said. What is this word?
Testing at the Olympics. And now she's producing a bill that sends American taxpayer money to China. Because what she has done at the same time raises another question. Negotiated with the Democrats for...
I think there's a video dropout. That wasn't him.
More than 8 months to get a bipartisan committee based upon China. She said yes, and then the night before we were going to announce it, even though we brought a reporter in to report all on it from the Washington Post.
Report all on it.
She said no. So the Republicans had to go alone. This bill that you talk about later that she just put in, which I call not a Competes Act, but a Concedes Act, not only sends $8 billion to the Green UN Climate Fund that has given $100 million to China. It has unlimited green card skilled. This is what the Chinese army uses.
It has unlimited green card skilled? That's what the Chinese army is using. Forget about the hydrosonic missiles Trump was talking about. The missiles that go under the water or something. Forget about those. These are the green card skills. What?
Competes Act, but a Concedes Act. Yep. Not only sends $8 billion to the Green UN Climate Fund that has given $100 million.
The UN Green Climate Fund, yeah.
To China. It has unlimited green card skilled. This is what the Chinese...
Yeah, well, God forbid we have unlimited green card skilled. Did you forget to say workers? Do we not need skilled workers? Is that what this is about, Kevin?
Army uses to bring people into America to spy on us, saying they're students. This bill does nothing to hold China accountable. She held 8 months.
Whatever he's saying is just wrong. I can verify that. Just unequivocally wrong. And a complete misinterpretation of whatever this bill, this concedes bill he's talking about, happens to be.
When we put a bill forward to...
But what if we had unlimited green card skills? Imagine.
Move the Olympics, she would only put it up on the day the Olympics started. I do not know what the Chinese government has on them, but it must be strong.
It's pretty...
On who?
This bill does nothing to hold China accountable. She held 8 months. When we put a bill forward to move the Olympics, she would only put it up on the day the Olympics started. I do not know what the Chinese government has on them, but it must be strong.
It's pretty extraordinary.
But I have no evidence whatsoever that the Chinese government has something on them. I'm not sure who is. The Democrats, perhaps? But it must be strong. I don't know what it is. I'm just completely clueless, but I'm just going to go ahead and postulate.
I mean, we know that the CCP is an adversary of the United States.
That is true. That is true. Good work. Solid journalism meaning there.
What are you going to do about this?
Nothing. He's completely powerless. He's a minority leader.
We know that Peter Schweitzer also...
Look at his face. Just look at that face. Just cherubic in nature.
...reported that the Biden family...
But unlimited green card skilled. What would happen if America was flooded with unlimited green card skilled? Think about that.
Accepted $31 million from the CCP. So there is a serious question of potential conflict of interest here. Are you going to investigate this? Should you take the House majority?
Yeah.
Should you take the House majority? The answer is no. You should not take the House majority. Because then we could end up with limited green card skilled.
And not just this, but we'll take action. When we take the majority, we will create that committee on China. And it would be a bipartisan committee, so you have one American voice on how we can compete, where China comes in and captures the critical minerals, when they come in and capture our medical supply and others. We will no longer have...
Capture our medical supply and others. Other industries?
We'll investigate the origins of COVID. We'll investigate the...
Yeah, and it's been investigated. That's something that you guys should have thought of just a little while ago when Trump was saying things like, the United States greatly appreciates the efforts and transparencies of China. It will all work out well. And it has. 900,000 people dead. Americans dead from the China Wuhan virus. So that would have been the good time, perhaps, to investigate China. But your guy, not so much.
AG's research into calling parents terrorists. We'll investigate.
No, the AG never called the parents terrorists. They completely wrong.
Afghanistan withdrawal. Why did we have 13 new Gold Star families? Because this...
Why do we have? Because of terrorists. The terrorists that Trump trusted the Taliban to control, and it turns out, no, they didn't. In fact, they released many of those terrorists.
President...
Oh, after Trump released 5,000 terrorists. So...
closed Bagram that allowed a suicide bomber out that killed the individual.
Okay, but the closing of Bagram had absolutely zero to do with that, but okay.
Release of American taxpayers' reports. Why is that being allowed? There is a lot of places that we can hold them accountable, but Peter's book raises a lot of questions that need to be...
It does raise questions that can't be answered because they're just nonsense.
The answer, and we might have to go further.
I don't know, maybe we'll go back. You know what, I hesitate to even give Peter Schweitzer the time of day.
Further, you might have to be able to have a further investigation just within this family. What are they doing and where did this money come from? Because you take the actions of the Democrats, I do not know what China has on these people, but it must be so powerful because the actions at every turn stop and harm us, but protect China.
Okay, but you have the ability to investigate that. You do have resources through Congress, so why aren't you doing it? It's something you can do now. Oh, that's right. You have been doing it, and it's come up completely empty. None of the they just don't even know the questions.
Well, you look at what's gone on in California. I mean, Eric Swalwell and his relationship with the Chinese spy, Dianne Feinstein.
What, you want me to show a picture of Stephanie and Marcy's kids? Sure, yeah. Where's the picture? Let me go to messages, see if anyone has sent me that picture. I have a picture of a car from Marcy. Is there supposed to be a picture? Put it in the group chat thing on the Twitters. I'll pull it up on the screen.
She had a Chinese spy following her around. We don't know the connections with Nancy Pelosi, although Peter Schweitzer reports that her son wants to do business there. Is it all about money?
Well, remember, it's not just a spy with Dianne Feinstein. It was her driver for a decade. Eric Swalwell created a relationship with a Chinese spy.
He created a relationship with a Chinese spy? What? There's this complete innuendo. Not innuendo. There's absolutely no evidence that Eric Swalwell had any sort of sexual relationship with Feng Feng or Fing Fing or whatever her name was, the Chinese spy. She was a spy. She didn't actually let anybody know that she was a spy. Kind of how spies work. But there's zero evidence that it was any kind of sexual relationships, but the Republicans always imply that there was.
Who was at the college. And this bill the Democrats just passed allows the Confucius Institutes to continue to go.
Okay, I'm not sure what that means. Here's Stephanie and Marcy's kids right there. Stephanie just sold them a lemon. Sold them a car, gave them lemons. So that's great news, especially during this time of car shortages. As Jim Jordan has told us, there are no cars available in the United States. Every dealership is completely empty.
This is where she met Eric Swalwell. She met him when he was a city councilman. He became a congressman. Then he got on the Intel committee. She put interns in his office. When the FBI warned the leadership that he was having a relationship with a Chinese spy.
No, not true.
Nancy Pelosi did not remove him from the Intel committee. Let him stay there.
Well, he wasn't having a relationship with her.
And actually let him become a subcommittee chair.
Hold on, here's the picture again. Oh my God, everybody busy packing. There you go. That's those are three people. They're all wearing masks. One of them, I assume, is Stephanie, and the other two might be relatives of. There's no way to know, really. This could just be three random people. What I've heard is that when people wear masks, completely unrecognizable.
We brought it to the floor. The Democrats all voted to keep him on there. Eric Swalwell cannot get a security clearance in the private sector, but government just allowed him to know all the secrets.
What? No, who said that he can't get... Why would he even try to get a security clearance in the private sector? It's not a thing. You're just saying words, and they barely string together. But what if we had unlimited green card skilled? Huh?
Why do you think Nancy Pelosi says she's running again? I mean, here you have, almost 30 resignations or retirements happening on the Democrat side.
Democratic, yeah.
Or they're seeking other office. You got a new Gallup survey saying Americans' political party preference is shifting to Republican, and yet the speaker came out and said, yes, she will run for re-election. Do you believe she will?
I believe she will. She said it because
why not?
She's hungry for power. And remember what else?
Well, she has power. But, okay.
What else is happening right now?
What?
Redistricting. We're watching what's happening in New York. Well,
we watching what's happening. Yeah, we watching what's happening.
So egregious that forever gerrymandering would be known as Jerry Nadler's district. What they're actually picking.
I don't think that's happening. I haven't heard anybody talking about Jerry Nadler's district replacing the word gerrymandering. But yes, let's get rid of gerrymandering. Kevin McCarthy, let's pass the bill which gets rid of the gerrymandering and makes it a bipartisan, nonpartisan effort to redistrict the districts. Redraw the districts, I should say. Well, let's do that. And then maybe we'll have unlimited green card skilled.
Who they want, where they're going to steal another 4 seats. The reason why Nancy Pelosi announced she's going to run, and now they're
announced she's going to run?
Stealing elections in...
Elections? That's hellacious.
different places by redistricting and gerrymandering these. She believes she can win, even though overwhelmingly the public says they want to change. They want a secure border. They want to end inflation.
There's the paper rustling from just have a guest speaking. So here's what we're going to do. While Kevin McCarthy is answering your question off camera, Marie's doing this. I don't know.
They want safe and secure streets, but the Democratic policy is causing most of this problem.
Yeah, we've got
What? What? Most of what problem? You just listed random.
this map here. And by the way, President Trump reacted to
Let's look at this map here. And by the way, President
this,
Trump,
saying that the Republicans are getting. And here's what the President Trump said:
here's what the President Trump said. He's not the president anymore, but okay.
Republicans are getting absolutely creamed with the phony redistricting going on all over the country.
Great. Then let's fix that. Both sides are upset about the gerrymandering. Let's fix it. It's easily fixable.
Even the fake New York Times is having a hard time believing how ridiculous
Wait, what does the real New York Times say about it?
things have gotten. This is the map that New York has been redrawn to give more territory to Jerry Nadler. How does this happen?
Well, it's really not about territory. This is about population base. How does this happen? This is called gerrymandering, and it happens every 10 years in the states. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be fixed. They've been teaching that since the 1960s.
Well, you know what has happened? You had Eric Holder and Barack Obama go in.
You know what? What did he say?
New York Times is having a hard time believing how ridiculous things have gotten. This is the map that New York has been redrawn to give more territory to Jerry Nadler. How does this happen?
Well, you know what has happened? You had Eric Holder and Barack Obama go in through the last decade and run Democrats, left-leaning Democrats, for state Supreme Courts. And they're upholding this egregious maps. Even the left.
This egregious maps? These egregious maps is what you're trying to say there, Kev.
Leaning Brennan Center says this is wrong. 538.
Everyone says gerrymandering's wrong. You have in your power right now. This is all you can do. Remember, you lost the election. So you're powerless. But what you can do is say, we will cooperate on a House bill, which then we will send to the Senate, which then I will talk to former leader McConnell, etc., saying, hey, you know what, we should pass this. Nobody likes the gerrymandering. Let's fix it. The bill would fly through. But no one's willing to do it. But you do have that power right now. You could use this as a bully pulpit on your own and say, Democrats, let's pass this together. And the Democrats will say, yeah, that's the Voters' Rights Act. We have it right here. We've been asking for your vote, and none of the Republicans will vote for it.
Says it's egregious. Nobody stands with this map except the Democrats. And it's
Except the Democrats, Dad.
interesting that they started doing the extreme gerrymandering after Nancy Pelosi
Oh, it's extreme gerrymandering now.
announced she was going to run for re-election. They cannot
Oh, it's interesting that they started doing the gerrymandering on this schedule, which they're expected to do.
win on their merit and their.
But that is interesting. You know what it does? It raises questions. Are they changing the things with the gerrymandering on unlimited skilled green cards? Are they?
Their policies. So now they want to rig the system to be able to keep control of the power. That is why we need everybody to join with us.
Wow, this is breaking news here, people. States are redistricting in order to keep power. How can this be happening?
Go to firepelosi.com.
Okay.
Do not allow this to happen.
All right, firepelosi.com. Let's go. Firepelosi.com. Let's see if there's even anything there. Okay. Sign the petition to fire Pelosi. And you donate to... There's an article here about Kevin McCarthy. This is a bunch of right-wing podcasts. And there's your Fire Pelosi. Paid for by McCarthy Victory Fund. Okay. So by adding your name, you become a member to Team Kevin McCarthy. Ooh, yuck. By the choice of communication channels, you either choose/agree to receive emails or text message or both. Messages or message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text stop to opt out. Blah blah blah. Is there just any information on? Hold on. Let's click on something, and it just goes right back to the top. It's just there's a store. We can shop. Fire Pelosi. So they've just got a bunch of Fire Pelosi stuff, and then you can also get a Team McCarthy long sleeve navy t-shirt for $30. Paid for by WinRed, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. But the candidate is asking you to go to the website, but it's not authorized. But he's saying go to the website. It's not authorized though. FEC, are you listening?
Let's make sure we have a fair election.
The State of the Union is on March 1st amidst record inflation, spikes in crime across the country, obviously multiple crises erupting across the globe, Afghanistan, Ukraine, China.
Well, Afghanistan's not erupting. It's done. We're out of Afghanistan. The war is over. No more Americans being sent to their death. So that's good.
And then you really haven't heard a lot about this crime spike, although President Biden went.
It's all that Fox covers. It's the lead story every single broadcast, every single day.
To New York last week, met with Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, and talked about guns. Look at this funeral for Wilbert Mora, where the NYPD had an incredible showing throughout New York for he, as well as Officer Jason Rivera, 22 years old and 27 years old. What a heartbreak. What can you do about this crime spike? And does Joe...
Nothing. He's powerless.
Biden have the will to actually change laws to ensure the safety of Americans? Okay,
but they're talking about city and state laws. Joe Biden does not have the power to change those laws.
The Democrats do not have the will, nor does Joe Biden, because they created much of this. The defunding of police.
Yeah, Joe Biden's always been against defunding the police.
That they have championed and actually caused the creation.
No, he hasn't championed it. He said outright several times, I've never been in favor of defunding the police. Don't defund the police. Here's $300 million for the police.
You got a vice president that pays to help people get out on bail. You've got a Democrat.
Yeah, that's people who are innocent until proven guilty.
Policy that says don't uphold the law, so you have these DAs that will not hold people accountable. Stores are closing because people are just walking in and stealing it. We need a
people are just walking in and stealing it. The stores.
Continual change in policy here. And now you have fentanyl coming across the border. It's the number one.
Right, but fentanyl has been coming across the border for years. It's not now. It has been. Speaking of has-beens, here's Kevin McCarthy.
One cause of death in America between those of 18 to 45. It's a Schedule I drug, which means you can have a mandatory minimum. But the Democrats will not renew that. That stops on February 18th. The president said...
Yeah, because mandatory minimum sentences are... Trump was against it as well, by the way. They are beyond punitive.
As he does not want to put people...
You don't want to take away the ability of judges to use their discretion, and that's what the mandatory sentences do.
People in jail over it. This is a number one cause of death from those 18 to 45, and the leader of this nation, the leader of the majority of the Democrats, will do nothing about it. Why do we think they're ever going to change course when it comes to a problem that they created of why we are unsafe in the streets? I promise you this.
No, but remember how Joe Biden was the guy who was blamed for being so tough on crime with the crime bill back in the 90s? That was Joe Biden who did that. Same guy that you're now saying doesn't care about crime, that you spent the entire election cycle blaming for not being too tough on crime.
When we take the majority, we will make sure this all changes. We will not allow cop grants to go out to any DA that does not uphold the law fairly and evenly.
Real quick, are you saying that fentanyl was a Schedule 1 drug, meaning there was serious time spent for anyone who is trafficking that drug, and the Democrats are saying take it off of Schedule 1?
That's probably what he's trying to say. It's hard to tell because he doesn't speak any English, but that's also not what's happening.
Goes off Schedule 1 February 18th? Is that what you just said?
February 18th is when it goes off. Currently, it's a Schedule 1, which gives it a mandatory minimum sentence. We put this week on the floor a bill to extend it as a Scheduled 1 drug. And you know what, Maria?
Yeah.
Every Democrat voted against it.
No, that's not what happened at all. You can't put bills on the floor. You cannot put bills up for vote. You're in the minority.
Voted against your city, your community, of making it safe.
There was no vote.
So we're going to follow that. It's good to see you this morning.
I'd have to do a little more research on that. There might have been a vote on something that had something to do with something. Nancy Pelosi has never lost a vote. She does not put things up for votes unless she knows they're going to pass. There has never been a House Speaker as successful and as wily as Nancy Pelosi. She knows what she's doing. She has never failed to pass a bill. Ever. No other House Speaker can say that. But more than anything, Kevin McCarthy wants to be housekeeper.
Thanks so much. Kevin McCarthy joining us this morning.
Okay, who else we got? We might cut it up. I'd like to watch Pompeo, but he's just so boring. I can't. Oh, God, Ted Cruz. Let's see what this is about. Okay, he's going to talk about how racist it is to have a Supreme Court justice who happens to be African-American. Female.
Well, that was legal scholar Alan Dershowitz with me last weekend, right here on this program, calling Joe Biden's criteria for a Supreme Court justice unconstitutional. Biden, who has vowed to nominate a black woman as Justice Stephen Breyer's replacement, will reportedly announce his pick by the end of the month. Joining me right now is Senator Ted Cruz. He sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, which will get Biden's nominee first before running for office. He was a Supreme Court litigator and clerked for former Chief Justice William Rehnquist. Senator, good to have you with us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria. Good to be with you.
What are you expecting out of President Biden for his SCOTUS pick?
Well, an African-American female, as he promised at the debate during the election cycle on which the American people voted. And in a landslide, put him into office. He said during the debate, I'm going to make sure that there's an African-American woman on the court. And American people were like, yeah, we like that.
Well, let me say at the outset, the fact that he chose to put out this racial quota, it is wrong. It is wrong to discriminate based on race. If you or I tried...
But it's okay to do it on gender, because that's what President Reagan did.
...to do what Joe Biden has done, if your show put up an ad in the paper...
Yeah.
That your morning show is looking for a producer and only black women are eligible to apply. Or for that matter, you put up an ad.
Well, no, they just put up something. They say diversity strongly encouraged. And this happens all day, every day in the United States. And it's not illegal.
Ad that said only white men are eligible to apply. Or you put up an ad that said only Native American women are eligible to apply. Any of those ads would be illegal. They would violate the federal civil rights law, and you or I would face liability. And yet, Joe Biden, those laws don't technically apply to the president in this appointment, but
no, they don't.
He is certainly violating the spirit of non-discrimination if he wanted to search for qualified applicants.
Right, but the American people overwhelmingly said they had no problem with that. That's why he's in office, because he said that. And it breaks down to the endorsement. We were just listening to Peril, the book. Listening to Peril, it tells the story of how Joe Biden went to James Clyburn and says, I need your endorsement in South Carolina. Because remember, he finished like 4th in Iowa, and then New Hampshire ended up finishing 5th, and he took off, and he just left Nevada. He lost. Bernie Sanders looked like he was going to be the candidate. This is during the primaries. Then they got to South Carolina, and James Clyburn, who's the kingmaker, he wanted his endorsement. James Clyburn said, okay, but what we really want is an African-American woman, because that's where your votes come from. That's how the Democratic Party that's where the Democratic Party wins. That's the difference. It's African American women who vote on a higher ratio per capita than any other group of Americans. 69-70% of African American women show up to the polls, which is higher than any other group. There's exceptions in different elections, etc. But your African American woman, that's the engine that drives the Democratic car. And Joe Biden said, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then during the debate, during one of the breaks, James Clyburn got up and said, I'm going to the bathroom, but instead went backstage and talked to Joe Biden and said, look, you've had a couple of good opportunities to say, I'm going to put an African-American female on the Supreme Court, and you've missed out on it. And then at the very end of the debate, Joe Biden used his time to say, yeah, I look forward to making sure there's an African-American female on the Supreme Court. The American people knew this. And yet, Joe Biden is our president.
And find who he thought was the most qualified nominee, and she happened to be an African-American woman. That's wonderful. But he's not doing that. He wants to discriminate based on race. And Maria, it's also worth noting there's some irony to this because
you're the guy who's all in support of Trump, who was not in support of Trump, whose wife was insulted by President Trump, who you yelled at about the insult of the wife, and then you were on the phone banks for President Trump later. That's part of the irony. But also, President Trump said he was going to nominate specific types to the Supreme Court, and then he did. And no one, it's like, oh, okay, gender discrimination is fine. But if you involve race at all, then it's an issue.
Joe Biden broke a threshold because Joe Biden, not once, but twice, has actually filibustered a black woman to try to stop her from becoming a federal judge. That was Janice Rogers Brown. George W. Bush nominated her to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and Joe Biden, along with Chuck Schumer, along with Dick Durbin, they filibustered her. They tried to block her from becoming a judge, not because she was a black woman, but because, God forbid, she actually believed in the Constitution and would follow the terms of the Constitution. What Biden really wants here is a left-wing ideologue, but he also wants to discriminate based on race because the modern Democratic Party...
Hold on, let's see. This is an old tweet from Aaron Rupar. This is a Trump rally, September 19th, 2020. So just last year, 2 years ago now.
As we meet tonight, our nation mourns the loss of a legal giant, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Her landmark rulings, fierce devotion to justice, and her courageous battle against...
Such a terrible reader. Such a terrible, awful, no good, evil reader.
Cancer inspire all Americans. You may agree, you may not disagree with her, but...
You may agree, you may not disagree. Same thing.
She was an inspiration to a tremendous number of people. I say all Americans. Justice Ginsburg's close relationship with a friend of ours, a friend of mine, Justice Scalia, is also a powerful...
We're going to march down to the Capitol!
Reminder that we can disagree on fundamental issues while treating each other with decency, dignity, and respect. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Why are you thanking? Why are you thanking everyone? What are you thanking them for? Our thoughts and prayers are with her family. Thank you very much. Thank you for the applause.
Thank you.
Why?
So Article 2 of our Constitution says the president shall nominate justices of the Supreme Court.
Yeah! Yeah! They think he's talking about the Second Amendment.
I don't think it can be any more clear, can it? I don't think so. I don't think so. What do you think, Tom? Tom Tillis? I don't think it can be any more clear.
Let's make it a meal out of this. Fill the seat. Fill your seat.
This can only happen in North Carolina.
I don't know why. I don't know why it can only happen in North Carolina. I have no idea.
I hope you hear that back home. Look at all that press. That's a lot of press. That's a lot of fake news. A lot of fake news. Well, I hope they hear. So the chant, this is a new one. Fill that seat. This is the chant. This can only happen to me. Fill that seat. No, it's
Well, you're the only one that can fill the seat, so yes, that is technically true.
as the president is supposed to fill the seat, right? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to fill the seat.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not even sure why this tweet was included in this article. Okay. Okay. I actually like women much more than I like men, Trump said to Cheers, encouraged his supporters to make fill the seat t-shirt. So why did they put up that? Okay, let's try
And
this
the
one.
2018 elections, the American people chose a president and a Senate majority, united in their commitment to selecting nominees who believe in applying the Constitution as written, right? Both the White House and the Senate majority have a moral duty to fulfill the promises they made to the voters, and that is exactly what we're going to do. We said that if for any reason we have a vacancy on the United States Supreme Court, we will fill that vacancy. We're not going to say, and by the way, we have plenty of time. There's a lot of time. You know, you're talking about January 20th, right? So we will uphold equal justice under the law for citizens of every race, color, religion, and creed. I will be putting forth a nominee next week. It will be a woman.
There it is. There you go. There's Trump discriminating. It doesn't matter who the best candidate is. He's just making it clear, based on gender, I will be putting forth a woman for that seat, which is, you know, according to Ted Cruz, against the spirit of the law.
Supports quotas, and they support racial discrimination.
Wow, you
Okay, but gender quotas are also quotas. That's discrimination.
make a lot of really
What if Trump had said, I will be putting a man on the Supreme Court?
good points, Senator. So do you think he's
It's not a good point.
going to nominate an activist, and are you a no vote?
Yeah, I'm a no vote before it even happens. We don't even know who this person is, what they're like, if they're female or male, or what their skin color is. We have no idea, except it will be an African-American female. But I'm just a no vote right away. Not even going to take into consideration the whole advise and consent thing in the Constitution. Fuck that noise. Not going to do it.
Well, I have to see who the nominee is before I decide who
Thank
to
you.
vote. But I will say this: if Biden nominates a judge
It will be a no vote, by the way. There is zero possibility of Ted Cruz voting to send this candidate through. Zero.
in the same mold as the nominees he's put forward for this past year. You know, it's been stunning. I sit on the Judiciary Committee. I've seen every one of these nominees. Biden consistently has chosen hard left activists, political
He has not.
activists, brazenly. One of the nominees recently described himself as a wild-eyed left-wing activist. Those were his own terms. That nominee described the hatred he has for conservatives. That again was his own terms. The nominees Joe Biden has put forth for the bench are more radical than any judicial nominees in our nation's history. They're far more radical than Obama's were. They're more
As compared to just completely incompetent with no legal experience like the ones Trump was nominating.
radical than Clinton's were. They're more radical than Jimmy Carter's were. And the nominees that Biden is putting forward are nominees that he believes will undermine our rights, will undermine free speech, will undermine religious liberty, will undermine the Second Amendment. As you know, last year I wrote a book called One Vote Away: How a Single Supreme Court Seat Can Change History. And in that book, One Vote Away, I go through in
Well, not right now, no. It'll still be 6-3 for the conservatives.
each chapter our fundamental rights, the rights we cherish, and how landmark case after landmark case was decided 5-4, that a single seat has the power to tip the balance and take away our rights.
You had to write a whole book about that?
And sadly, that's what Joe Biden and the Democrats want.
Yeah, well, that was very...
Well, that's how the Supreme Court works. It's the majority. So 5-4 with 9 judges, that's the majority. It's how it works. Right now it's 6-3 with conservative judges because you guys held open a seat for almost a year that Obama had the right to nominate and fill. And then you rush through a Supreme Court nomination at the very end, even though an election was coming up, an election that the American people voted against you in which the American... Anyway, speaking of which, I'm going to go. So, hey, it's been fun this morning, guys. I got to get on the road here and get things done, and I think Kevin daughter wants to come over to the new place and just put her foot up because she's got a broken toe. So it runs in the family. My dad had a foot boot on because he had surgery on his foot, and then I broke my foot, and now Kevin daughter has broken her toe. So good times. We have difficulty walking in the Williams family. Speaking of difficulty walking, there's no segue there whatsoever. I'm just going to stomp all over that. And we will see you later. I don't know, at some point. So thanks for joining us. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Until then, be good to yourselves. Be good to others. Most importantly, I don't know, eat some cheese today. Get some cheese. And if you can't eat cheese, eat goat cheese. It's still cheese. Enjoy.